if scale tells you something, that might be it. Okay, so thank you very much, Steve. So David and Stephen, if you'd like to come and join us at the front. In order not to steal their precious time, we have 15 minutes, and I'm going to hand over to David at that point, and he'll introduce Stephen.
Thanks, Dennis. So thank you, Dennis, and welcome, Stephen, from the Gold Coast here to Lausanne. Is this coming through? Yes. Yeah. Okay. So Stephen heads up business, trade and investment for the City of Gold Coast in Australia, and it turns out that that's actually also where I'm based. I'm the APAC agent for MEI in Australia. We work with best of breed support, major events suppliers, and also host cities in Australia. And here at the summit, we've already identified Brisbane here as well, so if you could put your hands up again. And the state of Victoria also. So, but the other thing that we do as MEI in Australia, we've established a major event network, which is for the suppliers, where we engage with governments and really act as a voice for the industry and engage with the cities as well. And to that end, as far as the MEI extension in Australia, Dennis is coming to Australia in September. And during that, there'll be events in Brisbane, Gold Coast and Victoria. So things are moving pretty quickly in Australia with MEI. So, Stephen, perhaps you could introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your role in the City of Gold Coast.
G'day, David. G'day, everybody. So I'm the Coordinator of Business, Trade and Investment with the City of Gold Coast. My team look after the attraction, retention and growth of businesses across the Gold Coast. We have a real specific focus on several sectors, and they're the growing sectors or they're historical sectors within our city. So, you know, we have Screen, which is all the movies and TVs. Sport is a really big one for us. Marine, tourism, we're very much a tourism destination. And then we have a generalised business one, and we're starting to break that down even further, because what we're seeing is a diversification right across our industries. We work closely with a couple of organisations that do education and also health. So, you know, we're very specific in what we do. There's 75,000 businesses across the Gold Coast, so you can't obviously look after all of them. We're a small team, but we do it on a focused basis from a sector point of view. So, and it's quite successful. I also have 2 TradeStart officers who look after our export, and so we assist most Gold Coast businesses, you know, with their export needs and getting offshore. So it's a real diverse role. It's a real diverse team, and you know, I call it the best job in Australia, because you know, I get to come to events like this, or I'm at sporting games, or I'm, you know, doing all the really cool stuff.
Oh, that's great. And maybe you could tell us a bit about the journey from the Commonwealth Games in 2018 through to what's going on at the moment, and then to Brisbane 2032 and beyond.
Yeah, so the Commonwealth Games was held in 2018, extremely successful. You know, it was a real eye-opener for the city itself, and we learnt a lot out of that. From there, one of the things I think we did extremely well leading into the Games was we built a legacy. So, and we built that prior to getting into the Games, and the legacy is living on. And for me, legacy isn't just about physical structures or, you know, stadiums or anything like that. It's a really multi-dimensional process. You know, it's about economics, and business growth. How do we continue to grow our businesses from the Games? It's about social. How do we do things leading up to the Games and from the Games that we can continue on with our businesses, with our community as we go forward. You know, how do we get younger people back into sport? How do we get that and build that whole process? And it's about environmental, and how do we do things as we're building for the Games that, you know, are environmentally sound, and we can continue on that. What we see and what we know is that, you know, Games and the Olympic Games is probably a really, you know, relevant point, is becoming more around the environmental side, and, you know, trying to go to carbon neutral, and we know we need to be better as we get forward, and we learn a lot from the Commonwealth Games. We're extremely lucky after the Commonwealth Games to host Sport Accord also in 2019, and we learned a lot in doing that, you know, because it was just a whole different event, but it was, you know, a worldwide event that attracted another range of people into the city. And from there, we continue to build on that. One of the things that, as I said, the city did well was build that legacy piece. We've continued to fund that legacy piece. And, you know, what we're seeing now, you know, COVID sort of got in the way a little bit with us, but what we see now is nationally across Australia, you know, we're a destination for sport. So we've got all those really quality, world-class facilities there that we're seeing most of the major sporting organisations in Australia choose the Gold Coast as a home base. You know, they come and train. They use it regularly. You know, we have Australian swimming there regularly. We have athletics and you know, triathlon. All those sort of events are there regularly. That, and we get 300 days a year of full sun, and you know, great conditions. So it is quite good. We're now starting to see more international organisations come across too. So, you know, now the borders are open. What we expect and what we're hoping we'll see and continue to see is more of those international federations and international, you know, sporting organisations come to the Gold Coast and use it as a destination.
Fantastic. And so you mentioned social and economic legacy. How have you seen that evolve at the Gold Coast, you know, from the Commonwealth Games to now, and how would you like to see it evolve further as we head to 2032?
Yeah, so from a social perspective, and I think what we've seen is that there's been a marked increase in sporting opportunities for not only younger people, but people who are more disadvantaged and in those areas. So we've seen a bigger focus around sport, getting people back into, you know, the community and assisting with that. What we've seen is a greater collaboration across our sporting organisations. So what we've been able to see is some of the smaller sporting organisations have been able to work with some of our larger sporting organisations, whether they're our national teams or they're, you know, some of the national organisations, sporting organisations that are now calling the Gold Coast home, and they're actually, you know, propelling the next lot of kids into, you know, hopefully into the Olympics in 2032. From an economic perspective, one thing that we've done reasonably well in that is continuing to attract those organisations to the city, and continuing to attract different organisations that fill a supply chain gap within what we have in the city already. And I think that's, you know, we're very specific about that. It's not about just attracting anybody into the city. It's about attracting those businesses and organisations that are going to make a difference. You know, my business and investment attraction officer at the moment currently has 32 businesses on his list that he's actually working through, who are either relocating to the city, or want to relocate to the city, I should say, or are looking at expanding within the city, and we see them as a value.
And what about the growth? I mean, I think we've all noticed there, you know, that's one of the biggest things at the Gold Coast at the moment. How do you think the Gold Coast will be coping with the growth and the infrastructure and what is needed to attract major events?
Yeah, so growth is one of those really good things for a city, but it's also one of those great challenges for a city, as anybody know that's in a city that grows quickly, because infrastructure does need to keep up with it. And, you know, and we're seeing that growth. I think when I first went to the Gold Coast 5 or 6 years ago in this role, you know, we were predicted to get to 1 million people at 2048. I think the prediction now is 2043. So over 5 years, we've reduced 5 years, you know, a marked difference off when we will get to 1 million people. That's a significant number for somewhere like the Gold Coast to get to, and it then really changes how we do things. Infrastructure was one of those real focal points that the city had on when we developed for the Commonwealth Games, and I think that again it's a focal point in working with you know, Brisbane and the Sunshine Coast and all the other cities around the 2032, and understanding what sort of infrastructure do we need across that southeast Queensland area to be able to accommodate, you know, not only for the short term of the Olympic Games, but for the longer term of all that cities, you know, the whole southeast Queensland growth.
No, I think that's right, and the ambition is certainly there, and I'm sure it will happen. And what would you like to leave everybody with today? What's your key message about the Gold Coast?
other than it's one of the best spots in the world to come, and 52 kilometres of surf beach, 174 kilometres of waterways, great rainforests, tourist parks, sunshine, you name it, it's got it. Great food and entertainment. Other than those little things, I think, we consider ourselves as a destination for sport, and we really do that, and we're improving on that all the time. We have an investment attraction program, which includes sport and screen and business attraction. So it's not necessarily about the money that you give somebody to come to the city. It's about just helping and being able to provide that assistance. For sporting organisations, the money helps as far as an attraction goes. But it's, we've got the facilities. We're in a really good spot. We're starting to work really well in that southeast Queensland area across the board with our partnering cities. And I think it's, it's a place that everybody should come and visit.
I'd have to agree with that. Thank you very much, Stephen.
Thank you.